Back in the 80s, did you know about Doctor Who action figures? Did you even know what Doctor Who was? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome back to the Junkman, everybody. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with a Doctor Who video. Who would ever thought I would have made a Doctor Who video? I know, it's surprising because if you watch this video, you know I don't know much about Doctor Who. Now, these toys came out in 1987. At the time in 1987, I was the only one that knew what Doctor Who was, and I didn't even really know what it was other than it was a show based over in the UK because I would see it in Starlog magazines. My other friends, they had Highlight, or maybe they had Sports Illustrated for kids. They didn't have Starlog. I was the one with Starlog, so I knew about it. And maybe by the late 80s, very early 90s, my local PBS station would start showing Blake 7, fall in love with it, and I learned a little bit more about Doctor Who then because Terry Nations and maybe Blake 7, he made like one of the robots or a delicate or something from Doctor Who. So they kind of merged together, although I've never seen an episode of Doctor Who. I know it's good, but I really didn't know much about it. Like I said, in the 80s, no one talked about it. I was the only one who knew it just from this magazine. And in the 90s, the only thing I knew about it was that if I ever saw a fat girl over the t-shirt section at the bookstore, or the comic book store in the fat section, she was buying a Doctor Who shirt. I don't know. Whenever I saw a fat girl buying a shirt, it was usually a Doctor Who shirt. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it was just a regional thing, but fat girls in my area love Doctor Who. But I'm going to tell you a story about when I found out about these figures. Yeah, and they're actually pretty cool. I mean, they're kind of, they're 80s look. They're on a card. It looks very 80s and everything. So I'm going to tell you about Pegleg Craig. Pegleg Craig. He went to school with me. This was probably 1987. I was in middle school by then. And he was a young kid, kind of younger than us. I think he skipped a grade, and I failed a grade, so I was a little older. I was about 15. He was probably about 13. And I guess his dad was in the military or maybe the CIA or something, because he would disappear for sometimes up to like 6 months. You wouldn't see him or his family, and you find out they've been overseas. They've been in countries you never heard of, like Guatemala. I thought it was something you put on a hot dog. But anyway, Craig, I still can't. I have a hard time saying it. Pegleg Craig. We called him that because he walked with a limp. We never really found out why he walked with a limp. Well, I don't know if we asked him. He didn't tell us. But someone said they saw him in gym class and that he had a wooden leg. I doubt that's true because the guy told us it had a bark on it and everything. It looked like his dad cut it down from a tree. I don't believe that. And we had this other guy in class named Skeeter who would always get his pencil and write it on the desk right by the time it was time for Pegleg Craig to come. He said, "Listen, what's that?" "That's Pegleg Craig coming." And he come in and we all laugh at his expense. He wouldn't know why we were laughing, of course. But one day I didn't really hang out with Pegleg Craig too much because, let's be honest, he was friends with Jimbo Shower. Now, I didn't like Jimbo Showers. I did not play around with Jimbo Showers because, like this girl named Tanya. I was really in love with this girl, Tanya. I was a little shy. We went on a date. I didn't really talk to her. Went to the fair. I didn't really have much to say to her. We rode the Gravitron. It was the best day of my life. And she was probably like, "These losers don't even talk to me." And then less than a week later, she broke up with me and then started dating Jimbo Shower. He was walking around with tight jeans on, had winged hair, had a pink comb in his back pocket. He was always ready to go. I remember I seen him in assembly one time. Assembly, is that what they call them in your neck of the woods? We call them assemblies. Pep rally maybe. I remember sitting on the bleachers watching. I was looking across. Look at him combing his hair. Oh, I just want to take that comb and piss on it. I wanted to piss on that comb so bad. But we're not here talking about Jimbo Shower. Rest in peace. I heard he just passed away a couple months ago. I feel kind of bad now. I'm making fun of him. But I'm talking about the kid Jimbo Shower, not the adult. And his name always bothered me too, Jimbo. But let's move on. And let's talk about Pegleg Craig. So somehow ended up at his house. Now, like I said, I don't know what his dad did. He moved around a lot, but they wasn't rich. Now I was kind of middle class, I guess. But he was kind of lower that middle class, I guess, because I remember he lived on a dirt road, and all the houses looked like they were built in the 1920s or something. They were on bricks. I don't understand. They were on bricks, and they had like 2 or 3 rooms, so it was kind of run down. But hey, we didn't care. We all hung out together, went to the same school together. We didn't judge people by how much money they had or nothing like that. I just remember this because it was kind of like an odd neighborhood. It was just a really old looking neighborhood, but then again, his parents were really old, so maybe they had money and they were just set in their old ways, because his parents were a little like my grandparents. In fact, my grandma knew his mom. I don't know how I think they went to the Moose Lodge together and played bingo or something, but it was just odd because his parents were about grandparents' age. So it was kind of weird. But I remember going to his house, and me and my friend Scott Pilholster was over there. Probably Scott was really into metal music, because that's probably why we were over there doing something metal music related. I didn't know nothing about metal music, but he started telling us about the last time he went to the UK. I didn't even know what the UK was. I mean, I was 15 years old. I was like, "What's the UK? What's that mean?" United what? I didn't know what he was talking about. And he told us the United Kingdom is where the prince and the princesses live. And I was like, "This? What did he do? Travel back in time? What, a prince and a queen and kings and stuff?" I didn't know what. I thought he was making it all up. I thought he was full of BS crap. But he said, no, I really went over to the UK, went over there for my dad and everything, worked over there, and look what I brought back. And he had this box, and he sat it down, and we didn't know what it was, didn't mark it, and he opened it up, started pulling out these action figures still on the card and everything. And like I said, I was 15 years old, so I was saying, action figure? What are you playing with toys for? You're a teenager now. This is, I went through my stage of having toys as a kid. Then I grew up, and teen years, into girls and music and everything else. Then I moved on and got back into toys in the 90s. But I was like, come on, Peg Leg Craig, why you got these toys? I forget he was, younger than anybody else in the group. Cosmo always wants to eat plastic when I'm doing my videos. Hold on. Sorry about that. Anyway, Peg Leg Craig opened up this box. Scott didn't really care. I think Bo Bentley was there, but he was probably hitting on Craig's sister, because Bo Bentley was always in love with her sister. But he started looking through these, and I was the only one that knew what they were. I said, "Hey, is that Doctor Who?" And he was like, you watch Doctor Who? And he wanted to talk to me about it. He was like, "Well, that time, what about the 4th Doctor and the 5th Doctor and the 6th Doctor? What about this and that?" I didn't know what he was talking about. "What about the phone booth?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds like they ripped off Bill and Ted." But I didn't say that because Bill and Ted wasn't out yet. But he started showing me these figures, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about these figures, because I forgot about this day until the other day. I was looking around and I saw these Doctor Who figures, and I said, Peg Leg Craig had these. Peg Leg Craig had these. So I started looking at these, and they made a lot. Let's put them up here. A lot of these Dalek, is that how you say it? They're red ones and gold ones and white ones and gold ones, red and silver. They made tons of these. I don't know why they made so many of these. They made so many of them. I can't sit here and talk about each one. They even made a box set of them. They even made one with a little man standing in it. But let's talk about some of the figures. Now, I know there was a girl named Ace, because I looked it up. I remember he had that. I remember looking at it. He had Ace, and he had this Cyberman. It was like a robot guy, Cyberman. It looked pretty cool and everything. And again, although I didn't know who Doctor Who was and never really watched it, I thought these figures looked good in the card art and everything. I really liked. There was Ice Warrior. Yeah, Ice Warrior. I can't believe it. There was this, I guess it was kind of like a robot dog or something called K9. You had it in green, and you had it in black, and you had it in gray. There was a girl in there, Melody. I think her name was Melody. She was in blue and she was in pink. But then they started getting into the Doctor numbers. I don't know why the Doctors are always numbered. They had the 7th Doctor. That was the one. 7th Doctor. I remember a box set. They had a box set, and he even had the play set to the phone booth, which is called a TARDIS or something. I don't know. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, TARDIS. But he had the phone booth. He had T-Trap. T-Trap might have been one of their names. T-Trap right there. T-Trap. And then more of those, there was so many of those little robot-looking things. I don't know why the Daleks, I don't know why they made so many of these. They just went crazy with it. Then there was the 4th Doctor, and there was, I think I said Ice Warrior. I say Ice Warrior already. Ice Warrior. There was a couple other ones right here. I don't remember their names, but I need to look them up. But these came out in 1987. I believe only released in the UK. Now, the 90s, they kind of expanded the line and brought it back. I think it was about 1997. But I can remember sitting there with him looking at these figures, and I was the only one that cared. And although I didn't know what Doctor Who was, I kind of, bonded with Peg Leg Craig here, because, hey, he liked this science fiction stuff. And at the time, I was kind of, closeted about my science fiction love. This was middle school, close friends knew I was really into Star Wars, but a lot of people, especially these people I was hanging out that day, because these people I didn't hang out with a lot, Scott Penholster, that's all he wanted to do, and listen to Metallica and stuff like that. And I was listening to my Hank Jr., so I didn't really hang out with him too much. And Bo Bentley he lived close by, but I was gonna say he was a neighbor, but he lived in the neighborhood, but he wasn't a neighbor. And he had a bike, I had a bike, and we hung out together for some time when nobody else was home. You had friends like that. You hung out when nobody else was home. But I can remember he was excited that I cared about these figures. Scott was over there looking through his albums and everything. Bo was hitting on his sister, and there he was showing me pulling these out. I remember he had so many of these little robot Delicas. He's like, boom, 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 just one after the other, boom, 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 boom. I was like, these are all the same, right? He's like, no, this one's gray, this one's blue, this one's green, this one's red. Okay, I don't understand. And he's like, oh, you know who this is? I was like, no, I don't know who that is. That's some old man. He's like, that's the fourth Doctor. I was like, what? Do you have the first Doctor? He's like, they don't make the first Doctor. I was like, well, what about the second Doctor? They don't make him either. I said, well, why do they have a fourth Doctor but they don't have a second Doctor? I didn't understand. And he just started showing me all these figures. And again, I thought the card art looked pretty cool, at least on some of them. I guess maybe it's series 1 where it had a little picture of the figure. It had the figure and a little picture from the show. But then the other ones he had was just like they showed the Doctor Who phone booth, which I couldn't really get in the phone booth thing. It didn't really look like a phone booth. He said it was a phone booth, and since then I've learned it's a phone booth, but it didn't really look like a phone booth. Not a phone booth I ever seen. I'm used to those Superman ones that you open up with the glass door and you get in there. You see how many friends you can get all in the phone booth at one time. No, we didn't do that. That was what kids did back in the late 1950s. But I don't know. I saw these figures the other day, and I hadn't thought about Peg Leg Craig. I hadn't thought about some of the other friends, or I hadn't thought about this day at all since then. Because, be honest with you, this is the last time I remember even seeing it. I know I saw him at school, and it's not like we had a friendship and we started hanging out and everything after this. I just remember this being at his house. I'm not even sure why I was at. I'm not even sure why I was at Peg Leg Craig's house. Probably they're trying to get a glimpse of that wooden leg. He always had blue jeans on. I don't care. We went swimming one time. We had a local pool by my house. He went swimming one time with blue jeans on, and we still didn't get to see his leg. I wanted to see if it was really made out of wood. I wanted to see if it was professionally made out of wood, or like they said, his dad just cut down a tree and stuck it on his peg. I don't know. And I can remember one time to this pool. This is before I even knew him. He was real little. This was like years before, and we was walking down to the pool and everything. Well, I wasn't walking. I was sitting on the porch, and he was walking down going to the pool, and he wasn't wearing any shoes, but he had blue jeans on, and he had his towel, and he was going to the local pool, and he was walking down the hill, and I was like, that burns your feet. I don't know about you. Well, we used to go we had a local pool. We'd walk to it, and we would try to walk in the grass as much as we can, but every once in a while you had to step on the concrete, on the asphalt, and it was hot, it burnt your feet. And he was walking right down the middle of the road, didn't care. It was probably like 95 degrees out. I don't know why it wasn't burning his feet. Maybe because one of them was wood. I don't know. I did smell wood. I did smell wood burning that day, now that I think about it. But I can remember he got halfway down there, and I said, the pool's closed. And he looked, and turned around, and says, thank you, and started walking back up the street. And I said, I'm just messing with you, man. I don't know. I haven't been to the pool. I don't go down there. I don't know. I didn't go to the pool too much, but I thought it was funny messing with him. And he told me put a sock in it. He turned around and said, I put a sock in it. I'll never forget that. I don't know why I'm rambling about this. I'm just rambling here. What a crazy video, right? Just me rambling about kid with a peg leg and his Doctor Who figures. But that, when he's walking to the pool, was like 3 or 4 years before this event. So I don't think he remembered it. Honestly, I didn't even remember that was the same kid till years later. I was like, wait, that's the same kid? That was Peg Leg Craig that used to walk to the pool on the hot concrete while his feet getting burned? That was him. So I tried to find him. I went on Facebook and search Peg Leg Craig. Nothing came up. So I would love to find out. I would love to find out his leg, if it's really wooden. I don't know. That's really weird, man. It's really weird. But I thought you guys would like to see these. I almost said Blake 7. God, I wish they were Blake 7 figures. I can remember asking Craig too. Did you see? You know Blake 7? He didn't know. He's like, I think he said he heard of it and never watched it. And I was like, oh. Hopefully he found a fat girl to fall in love with Doctor Who with him, because fat girls love Doctor Who. Again, it might be just a regional thing, but whenever there was a store that sold like pop culture shirts and there was a fat girl over there, she would be buying a Doctor Who shirt. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble on. Hopefully some of you went through this. I don't know if you did. Let me know in the comments if you sat here and made it to the end. I'd be surprised. Well, thank you for watching. As always, so much you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. We'll talk again. Whew, I feel like I'm talking fast.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.